California lawmakers are still pushing for new COVID jab laws, but that's just a jumping off point. State legislators advanced a bill that would allow minors to get any vaccine without parental consent. NTD's Cynthia Kai has more.
California is one step closer to allowing minors to receive any vaccine without parental consent. The Senate Judiciary Committee moved Senate Bill 866 forward on May 5th in a 7-0 vote, with 4 abstaining.
1 million California teenagers are unvaccinated for COVID. Having a large number of unvaccinated teens undermines public health and increases the risk of infection, hospitalization, and death for those kids, but also for others around them.
Senators Scott Wiener and Richard Pan authored SB 866. The bill would allow minors 12 years and older to sidestep parental consent and receive FDA-approved vaccines. According to the bill analysis, the legislation is intended to be a resource to minors whose parents are too busy and unable to take them to receive a vaccine due to lack of paid time off or even medical neglect. Meanwhile, the Catholic Families for Freedom, California, wrote in opposition to the bill. The organization wrote, "Teens lack the necessary maturity to make sound medical decisions and are generally more vulnerable to coercion than adults. And if parents are not aware that their children has recently received a vaccine, their ability to properly monitor that child for any side effects is hampered and may cause a delay in timely treatment." SB 866 survives several other COVID-19 related bills that were paused by their authors. This includes SB 871, which would have required all K-12 students to receive the COVID-19 vaccine. Senator Richard Pan pulled his bill earlier last month. However, SB 866 is expected to be heard in more committees at a later date.
One of the co-founders of Black Lives Matter is denying wrongdoing. The last 11 months have been turbulent for the former leader of BLM, Patrisse Cullors. She faced a barrage of questions about how BLM Global Network Foundation spent tens of millions of dollars. And not only that, but concerns that she personally benefited as a prominent voice in the group. In one case, the Indiana Attorney General filed a lawsuit against a BLM charity for failing to disclose its financial information. NTD's Kevin Hogan has Cullors' defense and more.
The idea that Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation received millions of dollars and then I hid those dollars in my bank account is absolutely false. That's a false narrative.
Cullors admitted that she made mistakes and lost trust during her 6 years guiding the foundation, but the activist denied she ever wrongfully used donations meant to help black people. At issue is the foundation's reported purchase in 2020 of a compound in LA for $6 million. Cullors addressed this as well.
We looked at commercial buildings, we looked at, homes, and then we found this really amazing space that's a sweet spot between commercial and residential that has office spaces, that has parking, that has, yes, a home on the property, but also has a sound stage where you could do podcasts and you could do live events in the backyard.
The property is in the Studio City neighborhood of Los Angeles. It includes a home with 6 beds and 6 baths, a swimming pool, as well as a sound stage. The property is meant to be a meeting place and a campus for a fellowship of black artists. Cullors addressed concerns that she was hiring her family to work on the property.
I think it's important that people understand that while my brother is the head of security and my mom and sister did work at the property, there are also dozens of other people who work in the organization that are black folks and are doing amazing work. It's not like I literally opened up the bank accounts and was like, I'm bringing all my family and friends in. Folks had skill sets.
BLM raised $90 million in 2020 after protests over the death of George Floyd, but the organization drew criticism after the announcement. That was over who had access to the donor funds. Local chapters and others also called for more transparency about the foundation.
A county sheriff's office said that one of their deputies was nearly killed when a drunk driver ran a red light. Law enforcement released a video of the collision on Monday.
According to the Alameda County Sheriff's Office, a deputy is in the hospital after colliding with the drunk driver's car. The collision occurred on Sunday around 4:30 a.m. in Oakland. Surveillance footage shows the deputy's patrol car crossing an intersection when another car tears through the light. The drunk driver allegedly ran a red light at a high speed and crashed into the patrol deputy vehicle. Photos show the suspect vehicle flipped on its side in front of a church. The deputy's patrol car's front end was totaled. The sheriff's office posted in a tweet, "Had the vehicle impacted the driver's side door of the patrol car, our deputy would have been killed." This video speaks volumes about the dangers of drunk driving. The sheriff's office said the deputy was transported to the hospital with injuries, but will recover. The drunk driver was arrested. We are thankful nobody died. David Lamb, NTD News, California.
Authorities in one Northern California county identified 2 people who died in a plane crash last week. On Monday, the Marin County Sheriffs released the name of 2 victims who died in the crash on May 6th. The department named 57-year-old Michael Breyer and 52-year-old Jennifer Lynn Fox. Both were from Sacramento. On Friday at approximately 12:09 p.m., a small plane crashed into the hillside of the Marin Headlands near Slackers Hill. The crash is located northwest of the Golden Gate Bridge. When first responders arrived at 2 p.m., the individuals were declared deceased. According to the sheriff's office, heavy fog and condensation obscured visibility in the area and delayed the search for the aircraft. The cause of death is under investigation. The Marin County Sheriff's Office and coroner's staff conveyed their condolences to friends and family of the 2. Fleet Week's schedule has moved up for Los Angeles. The annual event is returning to the Southern California port for both entertainment and a display of military sea vessels. Let's look at when the ships will be up for touring this year.
Officials announced this week that Fleet Week would return to the port of Los Angeles. Fleet Week was historically scheduled for the Labor Day weekend, but this year it has been moved up to the Memorial Day weekend, welcoming visitors from May 27th through the 30th. In 2020, the event was virtual and was postponed last year during the COVID-19 pandemic. This year's event will coincide with Fleet Week in New York. Democratic Representative Nanette Diaz-Barragán said in a press release that each year LA Fleet Week draws visitors from across Southern California. Fleet Week celebrates active military personnel. Recently deployed military ships dock in several cities across the country for 1 week. The battleship SS Iowa Museum will serve as the anchor for the celebration. The location is home to the National Museum of the Service Navy. This is the largest annual event in the Los Angeles waterfront. The event will include tours of active Navy ships. In addition to that, there will be military displays, flyovers, and science and technology expositions. Fleet Week is also a platform for Los Angeles to conduct disaster management. This includes exercises between local first responders and service members across multiple branches. This year's event will feature the first Freedom of the Seas Maritime Leadership Symposium. This executive-level meeting will aim to tackle supply chain issues. Free live music will be on the program all weekend.
Over the weekend in San Francisco, people gathered to celebrate the 30th anniversary since the introduction of a meditation practice popular all over the world. People paraded through the city afterwards. Here's NTD's Jason Blair with more.
It's the 30th anniversary since the practice of Falun Dafa was first introduced to the public. Bay Area practitioners gather in San Francisco to celebrate. Hundreds of people gathered at San Francisco's Ferry Building for the celebration. One attendee named Manny Gonzalez started practicing Falun Dafa, also known as Falun Gong, in August 2020.
I came upon some information that was put out by it said bad things about Dafa, and I later found out those websites were put up by the Communist Party of the Communist government.
That information that Gonzalez saw came from the Chinese Communist Party, or CCP. The CCP has actively persecuted, harmed, and killed people inside China for believing in Falun Dafa since 1999. But Gonzalez decided to investigate for himself.
I read John Falun, and then I realized, wait, this is nothing like what they're saying. It's a really good practice, and I want to start learning it. So I started learning the exercises and reading the book, and I've been practicing ever since.
Falun Dafa practitioners work to adhere to be better people in daily life. One way is by following the principles of truthfulness, compassion, and forbearance. Gonzalez, who traveled from Southern California for the event, said those principles changed him from an angry and resentful person to someone who is kind and goes with the flow.
You know, every time I do anything now, you know, either in work or my personal life, I always reflect back on it now, and I really realize what can I do better, and how can I be more kind, and how can I be, you know, a better person.
Linda Campbell, another Falun Gong practitioner from North Bay, has been practicing for 14 years. She said she used to get colds and flus often, but all that changed after taking up the practice in sincerity.
I look at it as a time of just gratitude and a time to just remember how wonderful it is that he brought this ancient practice to the public so that we could all benefit from it.
The parade embarked around noon to celebrate the day and raise public awareness. Many onlookers stopped to watch and appreciated the colors and messages of the banners.
I think it's a very happy event, and I love music. I love bands, so I can't think of a better way to express your joy and your principles, but through music.
It's all about truthfulness, mindfulness, and all about compassion, and looking after your fellow person and sort of stuff, and sort of just spiritually calming yourself down.
This is something that's on a much broader scale, and because, like you said, it is a matter of how it really impacts China and just the Chinese community at large, it just has me kind of fascinated.
I think that we should take stronger action to support the rights of people to have religious freedom in China. And everything I understand about Falun Gong is that it's a very peaceful religion. It focuses on benevolence.
I feel that we need to spread that word about what's happening so that people are aware and that demonstration can be peaceful.
And the parade went through downtown San Francisco and ended up here in Chinatown. The festivities continue next week in San Francisco. Jason Blair, NTD News, San Francisco.